Hello, my name is the Pickle of Wall Street, aka One Very Sick Doggo, and in my stupor of thought from ailment and medication, I've decided to record a controversial video because who cares? So this is a ranking from easiest to hardest mercs to play with, and this is a disclaimer, does not mean that an easy merc is not going to be competitively viable or that a harder merc is going to be competitively viable. It just means that they're easier to start with and they're friendlier for new players or guys who have never played it before. So, the easier mercs will be, you'll feel more satisfied playing them for the first time than, let's say, the harder mercs. So, none of you know whatever I'm gonna say, neither do I. This is completely off script, except I just ranked them up really quickly in my own opinions, and I will back them up with my thoughts and facts. So, my easiest merc is Nader. Nader is the easiest merc in my opinion because she does a lot of damage. She has incredible abilities that are super user friendly. There's nothing out of the norm, it's just a grenade launcher, but you get them so quick and you get so many of them that, I have never played Nader before, and I top of the leaderboard like the first 5 games I ever played with Nader, and super easy. I'm not gonna lie, it's super easy to play her. Obviously, there is a huge skill ceiling, like you can go crazy and do incredible things with her. Yeah, that's, not to say that she doesn't require skill, it's just that she is easier to play with than many other mercs. My second easiest merc will be Rhino, because that's all. You just sit down in an aura health station and you get billions of kills. I know this because I've done it in ranked games. Super easy. You can stop an entire team with one Rhino and one aura, and you don't require that much skill. That is not to say, obviously, that there is no specific tactics or skill required to produce greater results at higher levels, but he's in my opinion, the second easiest merc to play in this game. A third one will be Stoker. Stoker's another very straightforward, simple to use. Ability wise, he's very comprehensive to our new player. Every time I play Stoker on free rotation, obviously, apart from the guys who molly themselves, just the molly is so great. You just throw it into a group or you throw it at the EV and you deal tons of damage, and the weapons are really good. So he's another really easy merc. He's pretty straightforward and he has a really strong ability. Okay, here is one that some of you could agree with. Skyhammer, in my opinion, is one of the easiest mercs in the game. Just because his ability is so darn powerful that you just drop it in an area, kill everybody, kill your own team, kill yourself. You kill the server. It's just such a powerful ability, and it requires not that much skill to get most of it. But if you see super high level Skyhammers, they do insanely crazy things. So obviously, the fact that he's easy and user friendly, and he's obviously in one of the first free mercs that you get. The developers know that he's pretty straightforward and user friendly for newbies. Now this one is one that is very divisive, and not a lot of people will agree with me, but I don't care about what you guys think, and this is my video, and if you don't agree with it, dislike it and leave, as most of you probably will do. It's Kira. Kira, in my opinion, is one of the, I was actually thinking about putting her really low on the level, because she's just so easy to play with. Not just to look down on Kira mains or anybody who uses Kira, it's just that she's really easy to use. Her weapons always do insane amounts of damage. The BR-16, the Stark, and the Drace, they're extremely easy to use weapons. They require barely any skill to maximize and do a lot of damage at low levels. So new guys who grab Kira, they quickly master the game by just spamming her primaries, and then the laser beam is just a god tier weapon. All you have to do is just grab, point over there, kill everybody, point over there, kill your own team, and then point at yourself and kill yourself, as most Kira mains should. The next one is gonna be Red Eye, and Red Eye is not in the tier, is not the easiest merc in my opinion because of his abilities. It's just because he's just an easy merc in general. His weaponry and playstyle doesn't require high execution to just spam through a smoke as most people do. You know, you get a lot of kills and people can barely hit you. Not to say that guys like, you know, some snipers, I've done it before, we can just snipe through, seeing the tracers and headshot the red eyes, or to say that there aren't any red eyes who are insanely good. It's just, out of all the snipers, he's just the easiest to get with, because you barely have any of the downsides from bolt actions. You can spam all of his weapons really quickly, and there's no need really to aim down sights. Okay, the next merc, in my opinion, that is one of the easier mercs, is definitely gonna be Artie. Because just think about it. He's just a watered down Kira and Skyhammer. He has, you know, an extremely powerful loadout of weaponry that is stupidly powerful and requires barely any skill to get a good amount of return in the investment. He has a really strong ability. You just point and just blow up things, and you can point and blow up things. He's obviously harder to use because he's very limited wise in his ability. That's why he's higher up in the skill category, because Kira, you have such a long time for the laser beam, and Skyhammer has such a big explosion ability, and you know, Artie, every time he gets hit, he has to reset, and every time he gets hit, he has to reset, and he doesn't have that many explosions or as continuous as an ability as Kira or Skyhammer. So he's a little bit underpowered in my opinion compared to those two, but the weaponry does put him down in an easier bracket. Just because it's such an easy amount of just the weapons are so good, long range, mid range, and close quarters. A lot of spammers, you will see them in game. Now we are entering some more difficult characters. This is a gradual spectrum in my opinion, and the next one up will be Bushwhacker. Bushwhacker, or Clive T-Rat Fitzmorgan, funniest name ever, or you know, Cushwhacker as he should be really called in the game. Cushwhacker is just an easy engineer. You just drop down your turret somewhere, annoy the enemy team, and don't do the objective. It's that easy. You know, you get a lot of guys who could just go AFK, put a turret in a kind of half smart, half dumb spot, and kill the enemy team. You know, sometimes when you're playing a game and you start getting hit from a turret and you don't know where it is, and it turns out it's in like half across the map because it has this infinite range. You know, he's an easier one of the engineers to use. Next one on the easy scale is Proxy, Elizabeth Proxy Wells. She, you know, a lot of people are gonna give me, but Pug, aren't you a proxy mate? Yeah, and I can realize the user friendliness of it. She's obviously not the easiest one to use, because a lot of guys who are noobs are gonna get pwned if you play Proxy. Hella pwned, dude. You drop down a proximity mine, I'll snipe that crap out of there and kill you and half of your team in the process. So it does require some form of basic human intelligence to put your proximity mines not directly in the open. A lot of proxies don't do that since they're obviously half-dead brainless fish. You know, the shotguns, a lot of people do think that they're overpowered, but it's just that they don't know how to play from long range. If you've got a Drace, you should be able to 100% of the time kill a proxy before they can even damage you. But if they rush you, a lot of people make that argument, oh, what if they rush you? Dude, you should just kill them. Spam and jump, as you guys like to do with the Drace. Or spam the BR and you'll get an instant headshot kill, because that's, you know, completely fair and balanced. Next, on the slightly harder scale, but still kind of easy, it's Fletcher, everybody's favorite engineer. Everybody says that he's underpowered. I don't care. He's a cocky little rude dude who deserves everything because he's pretty smart, I think. He's also pretty buff, and he, you know, his weaponry is kind of mediocre compared to all the other lower tier, not really lower tier, lower easy skill guys, because low tier and high tier are completely different things. This is just a scale of easiness. His weaponry cannot compare to most. He's very limited. His abilities are pretty powerful, but you've got to know how to use them to be able to maximize them. And you know, he's just an engineer, so you're supposed to do the objective while half of your team is just going for Call of Duty trick shots, and they let you die all the time. Next up, we've got Javelin, and a lot of people are going to say, but Pug,
Shouldn't Javelin be down at the bottom of the easy skill because it's super easy to use?
No, dude, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Just because a rocket launcher was overpowered on launch because you guys have no method of understanding what a balance is, and you just want everything to, you know, right then and there instead of waiting for a balanced merc that isn't completely overpowered and gonna ruin every single game you play, doesn't mean that she isn't a hard merc to play with. She's very limited. She's got pretty good weaponry wise, but she barely gives any ammo, and she's very specific. You've got to be a team player to be able to maximize her plays and abilities. Her rocket launcher is pretty powerful, but like, you've got to be able to aim that crap. I don't know how many times I've shot a javelin who's charging a rocket launcher and waited just for her to shoot the rocket so I can shoot the rocket and kill her and somebody else. It's happened. I've got it on stream, and there's people who've gotten aces out of that. It's so funny to just use and abuse noobs who use javelin because they have no idea how to play her and just like to spam the rocket and hope to get a kill. Most of the times the rocket will miss, and that just means they know where you are and they kill you. So she may have a really good ability, but it doesn't mean that everybody it is easy to maximize her ability as well. You know, this is supposed to be controversial, and other guys, you know, that's how you get views, man. Next up is Turtle. Turtle is one of the harder to use engineers in my opinion, just because he's got such a crap ability. You know, it's just a shield, dude. You just drop it down, but you can't just drop it down anywhere, because if you drop it down in your spawn, you're not gonna do anything. You know, it's the sort of ability that you've got to have 2 brain cells to at least be able to know where to put. Most people don't have 2 brain cells; they have slightly under 1. So you know, it is a harder merc to use to compete, because he's just so ridiculously underpowered. Plus, he's got crap weaponry. He's just an engineer, and half of your team are gonna kill you, and then you're just gonna go for montages. Next up is Thunder. A lot of people would say, "But Pug." That's Billy speaking across the corner. Don't look at my lips.
But Pug, why is Thunder so high up in the tier? He is such an easy merc to use.
Boris, whose name is probably fake, definitely is not an easy merc to use, purely based because he has such a limited ability. To maximize him, you've got to know when to throw it, how to throw it, who to throw it. There is no like, oh, I just threw a random Molotov and, you know, I got a kill. With a concussion grenade, half of the time you're going to concuss your team, concuss yourself, and not even concuss anybody. So, yeah, they're adding that, I don't know, he's just so weird and useless that you'd rather have any other one that is easier to use and is better to use, you know, gives better results. And that's why he's higher up in the leader, in the skill ranking. Next up, we've got Fragger. Fragger is not an easy merc to use to maximize his ability with. Anybody can grab his primary weapon and start shooting around and get lots of kills, but not everybody can maximize his grenade. His grenade is the one thing that sets him apart from all the other, I think, assault mercs, because it is so specific, so very much specific to like a certain situation that you've got to figure out those situations, right? You can't just randomly say like, hey, I want to throw a grenade over there, and nothing happens, and you've got to wait for the cooldown, and then you're like, I'm gonna throw a grenade, and then nothing happens. It's not like Kira where you can just drop your laser and it's has such a long duration, does so much damage. You can just move around here and get a lot of kills, or at least destroy objectives. For Fragger, you've got to be very on your toes and very specific and know how to use the grenade to be able to use him at least even properly. Next up, we've got Aura. Aura, in my opinion, out of all the medics, is one of the easier ones because it barely requires any skill to heal. You just drop down your health station in one defensive spot and put it right in there, and you'll win the game. Easy. But you know, since he's a medic, it means that it's going to be hard to use because you've got to rely on your teammates protecting you, because of your low health and of your vital importance. Everybody's going to be targeting you, but since your teammates are completely useless and you can't rely on teammates and you've got to rely on your own skill, that's what makes it harder to use. Sawbones is, in my opinion, the second easiest medic, but you know, higher up on the harder spectrum, just because he's so kind of pointless in my opinion, right? Why bother get a Sawbones when you can get a Phoenix? But you know, the ability to throw big old health packs and do heal a lot of people, you know, heal somebody for a lot of health gradually over time, sadly, makes him, in my opinion, an easier merc just because the hitbox of the health pack is so big, and you don't need to rely on your teammates for defense since you have, you know, generally much bigger health, and since you can tank slightly more damage and you don't really have to aim as much, you can do a lot of good stuff with him without much work. Phoenix is, in my opinion, one of the hardest medics to play with, just because he's a gorgeous, beautiful, perfect man. But on the other side, he's definitely hard to use because of his health ability, since you've got to be very close to your teammates to do it. It's not like you can drop a med pack and forget about it. You've got to chase people down. It does give him some survivability, the fact that he can revive, but the fact that once you're reviving, people can still finish you and disable your ability, that's pretty funny in my opinion. So he's just a harder medic to use because you've got to definitely know how to follow your team properly and how to chase them around and how to keep them all together to maximize your ability. Next up, we've got Sparks. Now, I know we all know that I hate Sparks, and Sparks is a stupid merc that shouldn't do any headshot damage with a revive rifle, but the fact that she's there and has a revive rifle and a small health pack and small health makes her a very hard merc to use, just because a lot of guys will grab the revive rifle and start shooting everywhere and not do anything the whole game and suck. But it's not user friendly. She barely has any weaponry to do any significant amounts of damage, and her health packs are so tiny and so pointless that you might as well have none. So the revive rifle, I give props to Sparks who can actually snipe with it, although I believe they should be unable to, but that's my opinion. But it is definitely a hard merc to use, one of the harder medics out there. Then is Guardian, and she shouldn't even be qualified as a medic because she technically isn't. She doesn't heal for crap, but all she does is revive people in a big radius, and you know, that's the thing that makes her a hard merc to use. She has some pretty good weaponry, so that's why, you know, she's not the top hardest mercs out there. But her radius ability definitely is hard to use in certain situations, because do you risk reviving one merc, or do you want to risk, you know, and then risk the fact that 3 other mercs died and you can't revive them, or do you want to, you know, it's a crazy gamble to play with her. You're more of an offensive merc. You don't really have the most health out of all the mercs. You are definitely one of the faster mercs out there, along with Phoenix. Definitely not the fastest, but you can't really tank as much damage. Your weaponry is good but not the best. Your ability is good but not the best, and your you know, area shield destruction thingamabobber, little drone out there, is powerful, but it's very specific. If you're in an area where there's no airstrikes or possible airstrikes, why bother even dropping it? Am I right, guys? So she's a pretty useless merc in my opinion, so that's why she's on the harder spectrum to actually utilize her properly. The second easiest second hardest merc out there is definitely Amy, just because her ability gives her added bonus damage. She's really powerful. The Felix is a beast of a weapon that does definitely require a lot of execution to be able to use even mediocrely. The snitch device is what does not put her up on the top of the leaderboard, in my opinion, of hardest merc, because she's definitely not the hardest. The PDP and the Grandeur definitely put her down a step, just because they're so easy to use, but they definitely do require some skill to utilize properly. But you know, as a sniper who's actually definitely an actual sniper and not just red eye, you know, she's a really powerful merc. You have to know and practice a lot of hundreds of hours to be able to utilize her properly. Then we've got Vasily, in my opinion, is one of the hardest mercs out there, because, you know, he's just a Vasilian. He's beautiful and perfect, and definitely not biased, but the fact that he's got no actual good abilities, like no added damage, no ability to you know, it's just so pointless, right? His ability is just a detection radius in a very specific spot, right? And that may be good, but like, why bother when you can have Amy? So to be better than Amy, you've got to put more hours into this guy. That's the definition of a harder merc. To be at the same level, right, of you know, skill, so to say, as one of the easier mercs, you've got to put more hours into the harder mercs, right? So that's not to, you know, say that the easier mercs are definitely not hard to use, but they definitely require less counts of hours to get to the same level. So, you know, he's just a sniper. You've got to have good aim, good awareness, good movement, good melee weapon, good secondary, good primary use. Everything. You just need a lot of control to get snipers to even the position that a noob nader could. Right, so, you know, and a lot of you guys may be thinking, where's Phantom? Well, you know, screw Phantom. Phantom is a stupid merc. Frosty is special. Why you play Phantom? Apart from the fact that he's one of the funnest mercs to play with, he's very satisfying, and he's got cool abilities. If I was to put Phantom in any spot, I wouldn't know where to put him, because, you know, there's that new change that they're doing with the Hunter update, and I have no idea where he's gonna be. I know I've read the patch notes and I've seen the videos, but like, I don't know how he's gonna play with until I play with him, right? So yeah, that's my opinion on what the easiest mercs are and what the hardest mercs are. Please leave a dislike on this video. Leave a comment about how my opinions are completely wrong, and that Nader is definitely one of the hardest mercs to use, or how everybody can use Vasily because he's just an easy noob merc to use, or whatever it is. Your opinion is completely invalid, because I actually put hours of research into this, and I'm sick, and I don't really care about your opinion. Get out of my video channel, you noobs. As always, have a great day.